www.offthecorner.net. I'm Rollo, and you're watching the Fact Podcast. And here on Fact, FACT actually is an acronym that stands for Fundamental African-Centered Thought. The goal here on the Fact Project is to try to convey some facts and some information to members. We got DJ Tiger in the house. Peace, Tiger. What's going on with you, brother?
Yes, man. Finally.
I know, right?
Working like crazy, but glad to join you, man. Love the show. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll tune in. I'll be lurking, tuning in, while I'm out driving. So,
nice. Okay.
Yeah, man. Appreciate what you've been doing, man, for the platform. Yeah. Real talk.
Yeah. I've been doing it for a while, and I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to give me a voice and allowing me to speak on your outlet. So,
definitely,
you make the magic happen.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Either way, get that merch too, man.
Oh yeah, man. Shop.djaytiger.com. I'll put the link in the chat throughout the show. Yes, indeed.
Speaking of the show, we got a special show today. We got very strong island representatives.
Jvc bring them right in.
The house.
We'll bring them right in.
Peace, brother AJ.
Peace. What's good?
Good morning.
We love AJ, man. Salute, man.
Thank you, man. Salute to y'all too, man.
Yeah, most definitely. AJ, been a long time, brother.
Yeah, man.
I think the last time I sat to do an interview with you, you were doing a clothing line that was being sold out of Mart 125 across the street in Apollo.
Conscious Brothers.
Correct. That's correct. Yes. So grateful to have you on today. Tiger, I'm not seeing B-Love. Are we having a problem with his connection?
Say that one more time. I had to connect my headphones.
I'm not seeing B-Love. Are we having a problem with his connection?
He might have to go out and come back in. Look like he froze.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So B-Love, you can hear us. Go out and then try to come back in. We'll bring you back in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes it freezes.
Yeah, we got like I said, we got legendary Jvc Force in the house.
Yes, indeed.
We want to get into their origin, background, everything that they did as it relates to music and so forth. So I would like to think we can get B-Love back in live before we're going. But AJ, we're gonna begin with you, brother. What are some of your origins in terms of your beginning, like before rap music, like the place you were born and so forth?
So I was born in Mount Vernon. I was trying to connect your chat thing and said I had to connect to YouTube or something. Hold on, so it caught me. There we go. So I was born in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
It's funny because people always ask me that question. I got a company called Black Westchester. I got a song called Strong Island. People are trying to figure out where I'm from. So I was born in Mount Vernon. My parents decided to buy a house in Central Islip, Long Island when I was 7.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm living out there, and then my parents break up. They get divorced. I'm a rebel without a pause or a cause, so my mom moved me back to Mount Vernon for high school. And then sometime after school, I end up coming back to Long Island, and that's when I linked back up with. That's when I linked up with B and Kurt, and so that's But I was, even when I was in Long Island, I was always going back to Mount Vernon every summer on weekends. So I was hearing, on the borderline in the Bronx, I was hearing all those tapes, bringing those Cold Crush tapes and all them things back out to Long Island that they didn't have out there. So, you know what I'm saying? So I had that influence.
Was that some of your earliest influences, the Cold Crush and some of those convention tapes?
So the three MCs that made me want to pick up the mic is Grandmaster Caz, Early Mo D, Busy B Mo D, that Busy B, that and Melly Mel. Those was my 3. On Long Island though, we had people didn't really know, you give credit to what's going on in the Bronx, but we had it going on in Long Island. It's just that we didn't have that spotlight. In Central Islip, we had groups like Midnight Express, Unlimited Power, Double Exposure, and the MC who really was very instrumental to inspiring me in Long and Central Islip in Long Island was Amazing A. Archie Snowden. He's doing a documentary now on the underground legends of hip hop or something from Long Island.
Oh,
And he did this. There was like this MC battle, this like organized like battle type thing where he won the prize, and he used to do that speed rap. And oh man, he killed it. And you know what I'm saying? And that was like, I had to be like in maybe like 7th grade-ish or something like that. Cause I went back to Mount Vernon in 10th grade. So it had to be like 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, but it was probably like that. And he killed it. And he was very inspirational on a local level, you know what I'm saying, to make me want to rap. So I want to always give them his props and them Long Island Underground Legends Day props because they don't get mentioned a lot of times.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of those and in fact, there's a lot of people that were influential that didn't even get a chance to make records. So
Yeah.
Right. Like Amazing A. Amazing A was nice and it's still nice. I seen some of his clips now. Still nice, but he never, like you said, he got a chance to make records. You know what I'm saying? So never got the opportunity.
Okay, so we got B Love joining us. B Love, thank you for joining.
Shout out to B Love.
Man, sorry about the technical difficulties out here in the South this morning, man. The internet's fading a little bit.
No worries, brother.
But thank you for having me, man, and thank you for having
What up, B?
What's up, A?
Yeah, B, we didn't expect to get you today, so this is like a special treat for me because I wasn't sure to get you, and we got you, so I'm grateful for that.
So when there's interviews that had to do with me, like the books in Black Westchester, I do them, but when it's a JVC interview, we do it. Like I know that you might see other groups where you see just that one person, but unless one of us is not available, or it had to be live. Like if it had to be live and it's in Atlanta, he's going to do it. If it had to be live and I'm in New York, I'm going to do it. But if not, you're going to get both of us because that's what we do.
So B Love, first question, origins, like your background in terms of where you were.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and moved to Long Island when I was about 5 years old. So my origins is really Long Island. Met AJ when I was about 5 years old. I think probably around the first year that we got out there, and the streets just had a couple houses on them at that time. A very undeveloped place at the time.
Wow.
And those were the first friends that I had met. Funny enough, through life, the same friends that I ended up sticking with and going through things in life with, and here we are, like, what is it now, like 52 years later.
Wow.
Something like that, yeah. 52, 53, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, D-Love, who were some of your earliest influences as it relates to rap? Who were some of you want around?
I fell in love first with the Cold Crush, and I started listening to early Cold Crush tapes from, actually, AJ gave me my first Cold Crush tape, and my neighbor at the time, Joey Melville, they let me hold my first Cold Crush tapes, and I dubbed them and stuff, and ever since then, I just fell in love with the routines, how they were able to do what they do, and, how they sounded, let me know that they had a lot of dedication towards the craft. So, through the years, rapping and stuff like that, I wrote my rhymes kind of like how they would do it and stuff like that. And when me and AJ had got together and started rapping, we harmonized behind each other a lot because, that's where the influence comes from. And, it also creates a certain kind of excitement. And, that's where it came from.
How did you guys decide to become a group? Your friends since you're like almost toddlers, and you're coming up now. Everybody's interested in rap. How did that come about? You decided to be a group.
Well,
I think. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you answer that. Go ahead.
Oh, so again, I told you already the moving back and forth thing. So after high school, when I moved back, our neighbors, like, we got a couple of mutual friends. I'm a couple of years older. So B and Kurtz was making noise, locally, doing parties and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And our friends, Mike Walls and my next door neighbor, Rodney Norman, was like, yo, you got to see what B and them is doing. You know what I'm saying? I just getting back. I'm mad. Like I said, I was a little rebel. So Pops moved me back to Mom's house. I wasn't happy. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to go nowhere.
Right.
They dragged me to the party like they told me I was going, and that's when I seen them. So we there, and it's like they were like, "Yo, let A get on the mic," and I say a couple of rhymes, and then B, you know what I'm saying? It's his set, so you know what I'm saying. B say a couple of rhymes, then we going back and forth. Not really a battle, but we going back and forth. And at the end of the night, people told us that we sounded good together. I kind of linked up with them the next day, and we started working on routines and demos and stuff. And it was
Nice.
basically like really how it happened.
B-Love, you want to add on to what they just said?
Yeah, I mean, back then the most probably practical person for me to team up with was AJ. Prior to AJ, I was with two female MCs, and I was also a DJ back then. I took a seat to DJing for Jvc Force because I wrote a lot, listening to the Cold Crush and stuff. I wrote a lot of lyrics, but primarily, since I was getting booked and making money as a DJ, like when I was a teenager. So when I met AJ, it was the most practical thing because, like I said, we had grew up together. I knew that he could rhyme. I knew everything was good. You know what I'm saying? I knew we could go back and forth. And he lived right around the corner. It's
Yeah.
just we had
Don't
a
get that.
little situation. We could cut through the fence and get to each other's house. So it was like,
Right.
practicing routines and stuff like that was really easy and stuff like that.
Okay.
We hung out together pretty much like most of the day, all of the day, with the exception of like sometimes going to school. So, that's what we really did. You know what I'm saying? AJ always had like the biggest radio on the block.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was
All
Radio
right.
Raheem before Radio Raheem. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
What
we
else?
used to sit around. Yeah, we used to sit around listening to, crews, cassettes and stuff like that, listening to their routines, sitting down talking about like how we could do ours and stuff like that. And, you know, it, it was like growing up with somebody, but also they're like your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, yeah, we got rap in common, but our parents every day expect to see us in each other's house. And
Nice. Okay.
if the doorbell is ringing, they know who it is. And
Right.
you know what I
Right.
mean? So and like I say, like just coming through the years and like, closeness and brotherhood and stuff like that, one day we were in the studio in Manhattan and AJ said, my girl's in labor and you're the godfather. So
Yeah.
we headed
Just
back
like
up to
that.
Long Island. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
That's
So we headed back up to we headed back up to Long Island, and we went and got to experience that. I think that's probably like the first real serious um, accolade in life that we got to accomplish together, that we got to see together, I should say.
okay.
And you know, like I say, it's the years went on, and neither of us really went away. We talk every day, just about, if anything, no telling what times, and so we kept it going, and 5 decades 2 years later, here we still here.
Yeah, and
you know
this retrospect, there was a contrast between AJ's voice and your voice, so the voices played well against each other.
yes.
Um,
Yeah.
now back in the '80s, I guess we're talking now, you would actually send a cassette as a demo to a record label. How did your
Right.
up at Boy Records? What's the story there? B Love, we'll start with you on that one.
All right. um the demo, actually, in the beginning, it was a demo that I had did at high school, on a senior class trip going to Six Flags Great Adventure, and I went into the audio room, the audio booth, like the make a recording, and everything in there pretty much was, it wasn't what I wanted to hear. At the time, I was hearing a lot of, I knew about like a lot of different crews and, them cutting up break beats and stuff like that. And obviously you wasn't going to get it in there. So I went in there with a friend of mine that I went to high school with. He did the human beatbox and I did a rap
Okay.
called The New School. And we put The New School in envelopes because that's all we really had. We shopped it around to about 20, 25 labels. Um, the one and only label that responded to The New School was B-Boy Records.
Interesting.
Mm.
Right. So we went down to talk to B-Boy Records and told them I had a crew and stuff like that, and they asked us pretty much, what do you have to go on the B side of? New School, and we was like, we're working on this thing called Strong Island.
Nice.
And when they kind of heard what the concept of it was, they was like, yo, that's real different. Like that's gonna be the A side.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then pretty much, we went into the studio. We recorded Strong Island. We recorded Strong Island actually in probably about 4 hours. Um, brought it out, brought it back to the label. They started to do what they started to do. Um, about a month later, Red Alert played it like about 2 months later or so. Red Alert played it on his show at midnight, like going into like 1988, like the first song of the year.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we and like I said, from there, we the record didn't start off as fast as like saying we would have thought it would, but then it just all of a sudden one day just took off. Like radio DJs was playing it like 5 times in a row and
Yeah, man.
playing the instrumental, talking about whole stories and stuff with it going in the background. And you know and then at that point in time, we had got booked on tour to go on tour. And we're always like, saying, okay, well, who we going on tour with? And it was like, it's just y'all.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was like,
Wow.
what was it, like 14 cities or something like that, in a couple of weeks or something like that. And everywhere we went to, a couple of places they had a little bit of local talent. But for the most part, it was JVC Force for 60 minutes. And I think at that point in time when we came home, we realized like we not only realized, but we we got to go someplace that we had never been before, where we had to go and depend on each other while we were there. Because AJ was like the big brother of the group. So it's like, saying we depended a lot on like, saying his common sense and, you know, getting us from here to there or not getting lost. But like I said, when we came back, we realized like, what we had and what was going on. Mind you, the Doing Damage album it was out, and
Right.
we had went on tour to perform that album. So it was like that's where we ended up. I mean, hey, I'll let you add to it, but that's pretty much the way it started, and that's the way like we kind of took off with it.
Real quick, I think that's dope that a group from Long Island at that time got to go, to different cities around the country. You know what I mean? Because Long Island was, like you said, we wasn't looked at as the hip hop, compared to the cities, but we
Yeah,
had the
yeah,
groups here that are, all time greats. So I just think it was
yeah,
dope back then.
yeah, definitely. The difference is that, again, in the city, they were listening to all of the break beats and trying
Right,
to rap off of all the break beats. And in
right,
Long Island, we had a multiverse set of people. So we was out there with like,
right.
the different kind of musics, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like you might have went to school with a couple of white kids and what I'm
Right.
saying, they put you on this couple of hot rock records like I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and Pink
Hmm.
Floyd, Off the Wall, and so you're listening to beats now, like so you eventually on your own you graduate over to what is it, Queen, Another One Bites the Dust.
Hmm.
And as a
Right.
DJ, you just see what these records do to people in parties night after night, like
Yeah,
just all
it's true.
crowds, black, white, Latinos.
Hmm.
So I think we had a different sort of we had a different
Mindset.
because you
Man.
cause,
Yeah.
right, because I said in another interview, like back then you wouldn't have viewed yourself riding through the city bumping no Hall and Oates.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But in Long Island, when you riding along the beach and you hitting the coast, and again, big
Hmm.
shout outs to 631-516, the Third
Hmm.
Peninsula, whatever we want to call it, you know what I'm saying? From Cali
Right.
to Miami to Long Island. But
Murder.
we riding along the coast and it's like, you listening to yacht rock.
Hmm. Yeah.
AJ,
Eh,
you want on that? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Add to that,
Nah, so yeah, when he talks about, so I just the only thing I want to really add is when he said, when they said we going by ourselves, it wasn't local, it was overseas. Like we was like we had our tour
Ooh.
in Germany,
We
like
was
Right.
going to
that
Germany.
14 dates was Germany. Like that's we were
Oh
all from Germany.
wow.
And
That's dope.
to give you an idea, that's when the wall was still up. This is 15 months before the wall fell. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And we going over in the East Berlin. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
what the climate was there. If you know your history, you know what I'm saying. So it was like this was crazy, and then they know your lyrics, but can't speak English
We
good.
can't speak English. Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Which was blew my mind when because people were like, yo, what y'all want to hear next? And they would tell you, you know what I'm saying? They would say style and lyrics or whatever. And then when you do it, they was rhyming alongside me and be like they knew the lyrics. And then, you know, we were talking to them afterwards and, you know, they was having problems. You know, they were wanting to be around us. It wasn't like, but they some of them couldn't really speak English good. They knew, but they knew the lyrics. And that's what really blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm a little older, so I probably was like 21, 22, where you know what I'm saying? They were like probably like 19, 18 going on 19 or whatever. You know, I'm like, yo,
You
this
didn't know the lyrics,
like,
yeah.
when you seeing hip hop like that, you see them people saying your lyrics and you seeing all these places you've never been to before and you know, you up there like, oh, there's some beer in McDonald's, like, you know what I'm saying? You like bugging out. So that was great going overseas. The whole thing was a great experience, man. You know, so I just wanted to add to that he didn't mention it was Germany though. That like when we said who's going with us,
yeah,
was,
that's even crazier.
Yeah, they was like, oh nah, just y'all. So you know, every now and then in one or two of them cities, they would have local groups, and that's when Germany and all of that was trying to find his voice. So you had like a couple of rap cover bands, like they were, for better word, they were doing other people's records, U.S. people's records, and rocking the crowd. That bugged me out too. Like you know what I'm saying, like how you would just do like a rock group, like rock cover bands or R&B cover bands, that they had that over there. That was bugging me out too.
Okay, so
to
now
add to what to kind of add to what AJ just said too, about going over there and people not speaking English but knowing all of your songs. That's to go to show you how long caption been out.
Wow.
Because
okay.
we used to get into the cab and then we'll hear like the advertisement for our show and we'd be like, that's us. But how the hell did it get in German?
Wow.
Right. Right.
Wow.
And that was back in 1988.
Wow. Now let me ask you this.
Big reach.
87. Kool G Rap and Polo did It's a Demo. And rest in power to DJ Polo.
Yeah.
Marley Marl had sampled James Brown, Funky Drummer. And actually the 93rd birthday of James Brown. So salute to him. After Marley Marl sampled Funky Drummer from James Brown on It's a Demo, it's like the floodgates open. Everybody in rap wanted to sample James Brown at that point. James Brown became a cheat code. Now I know that Jvc Force, when you did your music, you didn't rely so heavily on Brown. You were trying to go in another direction. What can you tell us about your approach, your process as it relates to creating the music? Be Love, let's start with you first on that one.
The process towards getting the music wasn't really that hard. Like I said, we came out at a time in hip hop where like the radio had space. There were really, you had to really, really be like mainstream and stuff still to get in daytime radio, or be very popular to get in the daytime radio. And we were like strongly considered underground. But the thing about it is, growing up as a DJ, I started DJing when I was probably I probably started trying to touch turntables when I was about 5 years old. So coming up as a DJ, I knew every time somebody had a party, what records you had to have.
Right.
I knew what records would really, really go ahead and like, what I'm saying, set it off, and most of those records, again, they weren't break beats. Like, when it came to the break beats, we used break beats on a lot of our stuff because coming up, those were primarily the music we were using through our routines.
Right.
So to do the first album and okay, you know what, you got this routine down and everybody loves it. This routine is hot. We sometimes, put a break beat behind a routine or something like that and, just kind of made it a record and stuff like that. But going through, even doing records like Doing Damage, because again, we'll talk about Strong Island because that's the most, saying popular link. But even doing records like Doing Damage, Louie, along with Something Fast in the Back, those are songs that, again, like I say, when you're gonna listen to like, saying soft rock or whatever kind of rock you're gonna listen to, those are songs you're gonna grow up with. Those are songs you feel. Those are songs we use. And then, when you get on, like, what I'm saying, like the black people side of things, Bounce Rock Skate Roll, we use that on Take It Away.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty much, the popular songs that we came up with, and we knew these are the songs we can't go wrong with. Now, as hip hop got more popular, it became more challenging. If you look at the Forcefield album, some of the beats on the Forcefield album, they're put together. We took a lot of risk on that album because we were never really a group to like really stay within the lines. So we took a lot of risk on the album, but some of the beats that we chose for like Stop and Listen, that's you have to be very well versed in music to know how to get to those kind of records.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna remember Stop and Listen. I remember when Facebook first went online and everybody's finding everybody, right?
Hmm.
Found AJ and I'm like, yo, AJ, I gotta get a hold of this record Stop and Listen that you did on the second album. This YouTube was out yet, but everything wasn't on YouTube like it is now. So it was hard to find Stop and Listen. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I was gonna
Yeah.
the approach to that record was completely out the box. Like you said, you guys completely went out the box. That's a good example of Jvc Force going completely out of the box. Now, AJ, what do you remember about the process in terms of recording? Because it was reel to reel back then. It was like those big
Yeah.
one tapes. What do you remember about the production process and the whole process of recording that you might want to share?
Shout to Charlie Murata and North Shore Soundworks.
Word.
Um,
Oof.
things was different. Things wasn't digital or whatever like it is now. Like you had the reel, you had to literally cut and loop it, and like you know what I'm saying. You had to do all that. I know when we had the what's the joint we used, the electric company joint.
Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, we had to bring the actual VCR into the studio and plug it into the board and play it.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have, like, I guess it's so much easier now because you just plug and play and everything. Like you know what I'm saying. You had to literally use tape and loop. And Charlie
Yeah.
was good at that looping. B can speak more. Yeah,
Splicing the tape.
splicing.
Right.
Yeah. That's when So it was like that was a process at that point, and that was great. You know what I'm saying? And you mentioned Marley. Marley was good at that. That whole sample and everything like that. Marley's like a sample architect. Like I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
those are influences because when
mhm.
records came out that Marley Marl made, like for me personally, when The Bridge came out, I was like, yo, I ain't felt this way since. And when Rakim and them put out I Came in the Door, I said it before, I ain't felt that way. There's only certain times in hip hop that you feel like, yo, you know what?
This is something.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Public Enemy, when they dropped Rebel Without a
Without
Cause, and you
oh
just
my
heard that thing
God.
just whistling and Chuck just
Yeah.
banging. There's only certain songs, like we could love hip hop, love hip hop, but we don't love everything passionately. Like I'm sure we all got a list of songs that we could say, you growing up, this was my
Right.
favorite, this was my favorite, but hip hop is big as a whole. But
Yeah.
those are some of the things. And the reason why we learned a lot too is like we admired some of those producers, we admired some of those songs, we
Yeah.
admired at the time coming on the B-Boy Records as the first Long Island group to ever be signed by a South Bronx hip hop label. We
Mm.
admired KRS-One
No
because they had
doubt.
dropped the Criminal Minded album. We was like, yo, this is bananas.
Yeah.
But we knew coming in, we had a different sound. By the time we got to Strong Island was recorded already. But when it came to recording Strong Island, um, the beat for Strong Island, it came from my father, but it was between AJ and my father because I was at college. I
Mm.
was away at college. So, they used to come up to the college. I used to come down. But I'll let A explain to you, like, what pretty much happened within the conversation of him and my father and how the beat came about.
So I actually knew about Free the Pain. There was a I used to DJ too. So there was a local DJ, one of the groups I mentioned, Double Exposure. His name was DJ Spontaneous, and they were to do a party that night. This is a couple of years before, and he was like, he needed my Good Times because his Good Times broke. And he was like, so he conned me into trading me this 45, telling me this is the next big thing. It was that record. And I, eventually, because he was the big DJ in town, you know what I mean? So it's just like eventually I gave him the record. Then I heard it and I'm like, yo, this ain't like, I'm mad because now I only got one Good Times. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so I forgot all about it after that. So we were sitting around looking for a sound, looking for something, to do. Because so we had I'm in the garage. Bill's father, B-Love's father, he's he was a calypso DJ, so he thousands and thousands of records. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I mentioned, does he have anything by Frida Payne? And he pulls out and he's playing the Band of Gold, and I'm like, no, that's not it. He said it has to be because that's the hit. So I like, is there anything on the other side? And he dropped that needle. Dun, 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 dun. So we listened to that. Then we call B-Love on the phone while he's up in college and played for him over the phone. And basically that's the story. And then it was the studio was done, and that was the story of finding that record though. But yeah, I was the one that knew about it because my friend DJ that we both know conned me out of my Good Times like 3 years earlier.
Yeah. So now let me dropping the horns. Sorry to interrupt.
Right.
Dropping the horns on top of that record. The horns was also another Frida Payne.
Yes. So then he had the albums, and then he had the album, and Let Us Hold the Album. We found the horns on another song of the. So shout out to Mr. Taylor because those is his records. Shout out to my dad because we used a couple of his records. I know when my father passed, he was on his going in and out. And he was like, "Yo, did you ever give me back my record? I think your dad asked us that too one day."
Yeah.
You ever give me back my record?
Yeah.
Okay.
My father had just about like he had all kinds of music, and he can know if you took one record out, he can come home and know what record you took out. Like one night he came into my room. Because I had my equipment in my room at the time. He had all his equipment downstairs. Like he had like back then black men had like sets.
Sure.
So he came in my room one night. It was about 11 o'clock at night. He was like, "Where's my Grover Washington Jr. album?" And that's the only album I took. I was like, I ain't messing with this dude. Like, but he was always real supportive. Like we would rap, like, we would do what we doing. And he'll be like, what's this new thing that you guys are doing? He would never criticize it. Like he would pull out something like Nat King Cole or something, rapping in 1940 or something. And be like, this is where it started. Like, y'all think y'all the first ones to do that? And some scat and stuff. And he was always supportive in the realm of he let us hear new music, or if he knew of a song that had like a beat in it, he'd be like, like, you guys listen to this because, I know how y'all like to go ahead and do whatever you do to that little part and make a new one.
So he got it.
And
yes,
he was dreaming through us. And
So your approach to delivery in terms of your lyrics too was a little different. Like when you did Strong Island, it wasn't like B-Love did 16 and then you had a hook, and then AJ did a 16 and then you did a hook and you ended the song. You will kind of alternate back and forth, 4 bars a piece. What was the thought process going into that? Because that was a little different at the time.
That I credit to B-Love. Like, he actually, so he's modest. That's all. B-Love did a lot of the writing. I did a lot of the other stuff and the behind our manager and promotions and all those things before that. So B-Love did a lot of the writing. So when we coming back from B-Boy Records, we need another thing. B-Love wrote the joint, and he wrote it in that format. Came around the corner, let me hear it. You know what I'm saying? We went in the studio and did it. So that's I have to let him tell you the process on that joint. Shout out to Antoine Olsen and I see them giving us shout outs, and I just want to acknowledge those.
Big shout out CI.
And there was somebody else. Down the Rock.
Island.
Yeah, shout out to Down the Rock. I see them giving us shout outs. I want to acknowledge
y'all.
them.
Shout outs.
Big shout out to the chat.
Back then, like I said again, when you were listening to music and coming up with like, like yacht rock and stuff like that, you would realize like there's a chorus, right? But when the verse came in, the verse wasn't really no more than like about like 4 lines of singing.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So habitually, and then again, like listening to the Cold Crush, the combination, because they passed the mic back like a lot, like back and forth a
Right.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until like, you know what I'm saying, you get to like the end of a routine or something, and they hand the mic over to like Grandmaster Caz or something, like he eat them up or something, like it was a long time ago, I would
Mm-hmm.
never forget, you know,
Yep.
and just rap right through, and you know, or
Right.
they, you know, but the concept that I've always heard going back and forth, and like, you know, what I probably realized was probably more exciting for people, even if you would be on stage and you can imagine yourself like as a entertainer in front of a bunch of people, you know, it's if two people are going back and forth, what is the next person going to do while you standing there rapping? So
Right.
it's like you got to stay engaged,
Sure.
and when you stay engaged, you know, the people will stay entertained.
I get
I
it.
don't
And it
think I don't think we
Mm-hmm.
fully knew that back then, but through the formatting of music, like based on where we came from, what we were listening to, some of the best songs in the world, they only rapped like a couple of lines, and then, you know,
sure.
they came back to the chorus, and it was just blue
Yeah.
eyed soul groovy.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So we question.
And the ones we didn't go back and forth, a lot of them were made up of like our freestyles that we had been
right,
doing. Like we would do the freestyles, we go one back
Mm-hmm.
one to the other, and we were doing that. You know, we were practicing those, and we decided like, you know, we use those for style and lyrics and other joints. You know what I'm saying? So those were our freestyles that we had been doing over and over in the big. You know.
Yeah, Style and Lyrics is one of my favorite songs off the first album. But I got a
yeah,
question
thank
about
you.
something that you did that eventually became like a big thing. So B Love said, "How do you spell relief? I spell it JVCFORCE. To break it down further, BEWV. If you don't believe ME, you will SEE. That I'm a
I
RA.
am at RAPPER, a real dope MC.
Now, a couple years later, A Solo, who I got the ultimate respect for because he's so technical, you know, with his words. He took that idea, made a whole song like that, right? I heard other rappers say that. Listen, I had this idea to spell through a whole song, but I didn't have the patience to see it through. K Solo actually had the patience to see it through. Now, after K Solo comes out, there's a big controversy between him and DMX and who did it first, et cetera, et cetera. But B Love, you did this on 4 bars on your first record. What are your thoughts on all of that now?
So let me say this, right? Let me respectfully say this. I had an opportunity. We had an opportunity to come out on Wax on a label before K Solo. But K Solo grew up in our town,
Right.
and he began first as Kevin Madison or KV or something like that was his rap name.
Mm.
He was fiery, hot. Like in the town, it was ridiculous. Like a lot of the influence that again we would pick up and stuff is from just really sit back observing music at times. So I can't necessarily say that I was the first person to originate the spelling style. Maybe the first person on Wax from Long Island that did it, but he was doing it in the streets. And
Right.
he back then he was the kind of MC that when he got on the mic, the fact that he had the ability to probably do about 300-400 bars before taking a breath.
Wow.
Mm. Yeah.
Crews that came from like the city and stuff and came up there, I heard him. They was like, yo, they knew he was a threat.
Yeah.
I can't really say who did it first between him and DMX. I don't know. What I can say is I've heard K Solo, and he's only a couple of years older than me, maybe like
He's,
two or
he's my
something
age.
like that.
He's my age. We
Yeah,
went to school
like
together.
maybe two. But when he was a kid, all those lyrics that he wrote about, like, you know what I'm saying, going to jail and hitting the dude in the head with the brick and
Oh, the
all that.
fugitive.
That's
Yeah.
all stuff
Yeah,
that happened around the corner from our house. Like, so
the dude
he
lived
was
across the
around
street from me.
influencing us.
The dude hung out.
Wow.
The dude hung out at the house across the street from me when the dude that it happened to.
So
Yeah,
that was a real story.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
That-
yeah. And I
I
know
just
all
didn't
of them.
have no.
I know all of them people. Even the ones that got
Mm.
hit. I know everybody
Yeah,
involved.
yeah. Through
That's
through
crazy.
writing though, throughout the years, like again, listening to the Cold Crush, I realized like I was gonna write like I wasn't gonna have no parameters when I wrote. I wanted to
Right.
be the best. I wanted to be the best. You know, the best MC to me of all times. The Cold Crush is my favorite group, but the best MC of all times to me is LL Cool J. You
Wow.
know,
Okay.
um, I wanted to be like the best. Like
Mhm.
when you hear me rapping, all I want to see in my mind is like the crowd just reacting, and I knew that I could pull that off with a rhyme partner. And again, with me and AJ hooking up in the early days and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? That's the way we day after day practiced. You know, it was big for us, you know, and
So I want to add because the whole second verse and style and lyrics I'm spelling,
I was going.
and yeah, and so I didn't get that from K Solo. The two people that around the way that was rhyming and spelling, Biz used to always spell his name and spell little words out. And this cat named Pee Wee that was in the group Double Exposure used to use a
right,
lot of spelling in his,
yeah,
and those were more influential to me. You know what I'm saying? And I really didn't hear Solo doing it. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I'm saying that wasn't an influence for me. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
It was those are the two influences for me.
I would
Um,
agree with I would
I,
agree with Pee Wee.
I'm,
I
I'm
would
I'm
agree with
also
Pee
going
Wee.
to leave the DMX solo thing alone because I know both sides of the story, and I got to know DMX living out here in Westchester. So I've heard various versions. I read DMX
Yeah,
books, so I'm gonna leave that
Right.
alone and let them. And God bless the dad. DMX ain't here no more. So it's like,
So,
yeah. Like I said, I don't know either. It's just I don't know either. It's just based on what I've heard, what I had privilege to hearing. I heard K Solo first.
what
You know,
what the
because he was a neighborhood kid.
right. The only thing I will add, why there's the discrepancy, they both was in Riverhead together,
Yeah.
okay,
and they
okay,
battled in jail, back and
okay.
forth.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know.
That's where the discrepancy comes from. They
Okay,
was in Riverhead together. Yeah, so
I know they.
Solo got out first, and then you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, oh, we won't know. But salute to K Solo because he's a friend of the channel. And
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh
salute
yeah.
to K. Yeah,
Word.
yeah, yeah. That's my dude. We went to school together.
yeah. So now let me ask you this: Nice and Smooth and
Hmm.
EPMD were on Sleeping Bag Records, Fresh Records, same label.
Right.
At some point, Def Jam, who had distribution through Columbia, approached Sleeping Bag and bought Nice and Smooth and EPMD out of their contract, put them on Def Jam. They went on to do bigger and better, right?
Hmm.
JVC B-Boy Records, the same label as BDP. Jive RCA bought BDP out of their contract. Of course, BDP went
Right.
better. Was there any conversation with Jive Records or any other label about buying you out of your contract on B-Boy?
Russell Simmons approached, from what I understand, Russell Simmons approached B Boy, and B
And
Boy was on some old whatever they was offering. That'll get you the J, the V, or the C, but that won't get you the whole thing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he was just, But yeah, I from what I understand, Russell did approach B Boy at the time. But
And
Was it?
then around our second album and also the third album, it was like I think Warlock Idlers, who had the Jungle Brothers at the time with the single "Girl I House You." They were trying to buy us out of B-Boy. I believe with that deal, what ended up happening was that B-Boy basically went ahead and slept on the renewal letter that they needed to send, and we slipped out the contract and went to Idlers. But then when we went to Big
Mhm.
Beat, when we went to Big Beat, big shouts out to Stretch Armstrong. He's the executive producer of Big Tracks. Um, but when we went to Big Beat, that was like more of like the buyout sort of situation. Like, okay, you know what? We're gonna offer idlers this much money to get y'all, and this, that, and the third, and But no, we were always a group that we struggled, believe it or not, for our recognition. For us to have the anthem of Long Island, it was going to be
Right.
a struggle for us because if you look back at like what I'm saying, like 1984 to like 1994 and look at all of the groups that came out of Long Island. I mean, again, we're known for controlling like the third generation of the of hip hop. From all of those groups that came out of Long Island was talented.
yes,
Hmm.
And whenever you go into a studio, and now hip hop was getting to a time that you go into the studio and okay, I got this and I got that and da 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 da. There might be somebody else like in the city or across town or whatever. You might hear your same concept come on the radio the next night. not necessarily, and it doesn't mean that somebody bit your concept or stole your concept, or anything. It's because hip hop was growing so much.
Right.
People was digging in the crates now, and they were. So that's another reason why for us, we always knew, like, let's not dig in those crates and pull out something that's common, because
Yeah.
everybody's going to end up using it. We've been through recording songs and having to go back in the studio and change the beat because somebody else used that beat. So,
Yeah.
And they
you
came out
know,
first, or they were a bigger group. So you know what I'm saying? It was just
Right. So then it would have looked like, oh, you guys took from then, even if you did it first, because they came
yeah,
out with it.
because they came
yeah.
out first, and yeah,
Right.
they came out first.
We
Yeah.
had crews. We had crews that from our town, one or two that turn around and say something like, "Oh, we were just getting ready to put out that Strong Island beat." And you don't even know that it's two different Free to Pain beats or whatever they called or whatever like that. So we used to sit
Right.
there listening to people and stuff like that. But hip hop was getting bigger from a lot of things. Like the hip hop controversy was starting to come into play, the battling, and like I said, I don't understand like how it went from an art form to people housing all sorts of stuff getting like shot up, or I don't understand how it got to that. But
Right.
hip hop was definitely starting to get to that direction. So it was like a lot of times when you put out music, you had crews from your own town and stuff that didn't really want to sit down and just say, hey, you know what, like they just came off a tour, they're tired or whatever. You have some real hounds.
Right.
You
And
Yeah.
know,
cats that just really felt like, okay, because you came out, it was so easy for you to put them out. No, you know what I went through to,
Hmm.
we still go through to try to stay relevant. Mind you now, we never had a video. We're one of the few groups that never had a video that stayed around for 37 years.
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
You know how much work it took to get relevant?
Mm.
I
Right.
remember the first day. I remember the first day that AJ turned around and came home with this thing, and he said, "La, I got this thing, and you could send you could send messages through paper. It's called the fax.
Yeah.
We've been grinding from the time we came out. We were grinding to stay relevant.
Mm.
Right.
It wasn't as easy for us for like groups like De La or the Leaders in the New School and this. First of all,
Mhm.
we had great music out on mediocre label with rotten management.
Yeah. Big
So
boy
everything
Records
we
ain't
had,
down with
yeah,
us.
yeah. So everything we had to create, it was created like, like go someplace, meet people, give the information to A follow up, this, that, and the third. And, you know, I'll
Yeah. No.
let you add to that, A, because you took care of the business part of things.
so,
And
so so I just want to say, so along with what B just said, so you got to figure time wise. So there was no real internet. You know what I'm saying? So there was no YouTube, there was
right,
no
Yeah.
internet, no social media. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have a video, and it wasn't like cell phone videos.
Mhm.
So to be relevant 38 years later is solely on the fans who have kept our name alive
Yes. The
all of
DJs
those years,
too. Yeah.
and y'all DJs who played that record when nobody else was playing it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And kept playing it and kept playing it. Those and that kept us relevant. That's why we just went overseas. You know what I'm saying? In September, you
Hmm.
know, so some of them people waited 37 years to see us because we ain't never been over there, like the Netherlands and stuff like that.
Right.
It's been we had like a cult following on fans. It's like they loved us, and then when we did get social media, I handle a lot of our social media, so I've been going back and forth with a lot of them. Even though like when we went over there, we met people. It was like I was meeting people that I've been talking to for like 5 and 7 years or longer. You know what I'm saying? It's like we never met each other though, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it was like, it was like so and so was like, yo, I'm MC so and so. Oh, what's up, man? Like, like it was a beautiful thing. And we just grinded, it was always a grind. I was always like a hustler, like, not necessarily like on the block, you know what I'm saying, but always a little
Mhm.
hustler. I always worked for myself. I never really was like a lot of 9 to 5. So I always had, early on I had the paper route. You know what I'm saying? Like I always was doing stuff. I had the
Right.
grass cutting route in my neighborhood, like, several women, you know what I'm saying? It was like the grandmother, the mother, and then the daughters, and then the granddaughter. There was no man in the house, so they cool with my moms and that can he come over and cut my grass? I'd be like 3-4 yards a day. I was always a hustler like that. So, we were doing. I was getting the article, getting our stuff to magazines. I didn't know what publicity was. I just wanted the girls to see us in the magazines. That's what we wanted. The DJs, I didn't know what radio promotion was. I just wanted the girls to hear us on the radio. You know what I'm saying? So I was doing all those things before we knew what those titles were. Like groups now, when you sign to a label, you got a publicist, you got a radio promotion person, you got a marketing person. We were doing all those things before we knew what any of that was.
Right.
We basically was doing
self-contained.
Yeah. Because you got to think about it. We had to, from the time that we did the Doing Damage album, right? We had to do the album cover. We had to take the picture. We had to do the artwork. We had to do the shout outs, which the label altered some of them people on there. I don't know who they are.
Oh yeah, they insert
what?
They add their own people.
Some of their people.
Right. So
that's crazy.
It's kind of like a gangster thing, but it's whatever. But but like I said, we always did that, and we were always in it because we always grew up together and hung out together. We would do things like say something like, you know what, Friday night, we going out, we going hanging out. And everybody might, you know what I'm saying, like throw on their threads or whatever the deal is, you know what I'm saying? We might all hit the mall or whatever we're going to do. And by the time we get up to go out, you know what I'm saying, and even times we might turn around and say, you know what, we're going to do a photo shoot. So put this on and da-da-da. We would try to coordinate as much as we can and stuff like that. When we posed on the album cover and we had on like, slacks, a sweater, this, that, and the third, or, Vasco suits, or, Kurt with shark skins and a sweater or whatever the deal is. That was the urban kid look.
Yeah.
That was the urban kid look if you weren't trying to put out and portray that, you know what I'm saying, you was harder than you were, or you was some hoodlum or whatever. That was the look that the girls like. Back then, you had the hoodlums and you had the lady lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And, for JVC and stuff, like I said, none of us really like, grew up that kind of life. Our parents, you know what I'm saying, we came from like, two parent households, and unless, something happened. But AJ always knew his father and stuff, always been around his father, situations like that. But, we didn't have nothing to rap about, like shooting and this, that, and the third. And that's why we never did it, because we also looked again, we were very observant and realized like one day you're going to say something and somebody's going to test you.
Yeah.
And that's what started happening
CB4.
in hip hop. Yeah.
A lot of CB4s in hip hop.
Yeah. You can't talk about handling guns and stuff when you really don't handle guns. Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, interrupt you. I just wanted to add, we were inspired by those who came before us. Mm-hmm. And see, this is what gets lost on in Melly Mel and Kaz and all of them. They were making rhymes and party records to escape the ills of the ghetto and they lived in, the environment they lived in. Right. They were making party records to escape that. Now you have people pretending to be that, you know what I'm saying, from the suburb. You know what I'm saying? And pretending to be that.
They're getting out of it and bringing it with them.
Right. So we wasn't trying to pretend to be something we want. You might rhyme about having a TV and a yacht or something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but I wasn't rapping about sticking people up and, you know what I'm saying, and running through the subway. We ain't had no subway in Long Island. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like,
right.
The album cover he talking about, we were driving through. We used to have those little the Instamatic cameras and stuff.
The box camera.
We would go around and we would take a bunch of pictures, and we saw that car on the side of Spur Drive, somebody's damaged up car, and it was there. We damaged it some more and then stood all over it and took a picture. Who knew that would be an album cover? Like, you know what I'm saying? We just was like
Spur Drive. Wow.
Yeah, everywhere we went, we were just taking pictures like that. And again, like he said, so we were doing our photo thing. We was our own stylists. We were doing everything.
Because we had a barber in the early days.
Oh yeah. We used to cut off, all that. So we were really self-contained as a crew. Right. Like, so we didn't have a lot of outside producers or a lot of outside influence or stuff. We had friends in the industry, you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew Prince Paul since we both were like 15. in Amityville. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like, but yeah, that was the thing though. It was crazy. It was a different time then.
It was.
We were able to be more self-sufficient and stuff, like I said, big shout outs to the photo mat
photo
in the
mat. Yeah, you dropped off the cameras
in the C-Town parking lot, because that's where we got the pictures developed for the Doing Damage album cover. And
what else?
so
What else I think is funny? You talked about the way you dressed, and Be Love on Strong Island. You talked about shopping at Chess King. I need at least 50 to know what Chess King is.
Yeah. Back then in the South Shore Mall.
Yeah.
Chess King, when you walk through the front doors, Chess King was on the right. A couple of stores up, it was on the right. And back then, if you went right across the hall, it was the United Colors of Benetton.
Wow, interesting.
Wow.
So that's where on the Doing Damage album cover, like we were originally going to Chess King, and I think I went into Chess King, and I think I bought like a sweatsuit or something. But then I went across to United Colors of Benetton, and that's where I bought the sweater, the shirt, and the pair of pants that I had on the Doing Damage album cover.
Wow.
And when we talk about that all was from Benetton, because I was like, yo, you know what? This is the first time I'm gonna buy some Benetton and really just, oh yeah, this is big shot shit. Yeah. So and then we were always, every night we would go shopping in the city and stuff together, going to buy our school clothes and stuff. We'd go to Jamaica Ave and different places like that. So
the Coliseum.
Yeah, I had fell in love with Bally's, and I had bought some Bally's, and throughout the course of the years, I kept going to World of Bally. So it's like, that's why I say, my lower closet's World of Bally and the upper's Chess King. Like that's, we always used to write the easiest part about writing was when you write about things that you go through and that you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, that's where those lyrics came from.
So yeah, B Love got me into that Chess King stuff. I was the oldest. I was, still in the Lees and the, what I'm saying, the jeans and the sneakers and the hoodies. That always has been me. To this day, that's me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and even in the on the Doing Damage album, I have on some acid wash jeans. It's like they had these AJ jeans. They had AJ on them, so that's what I'm wearing, like AJ jeans.
You gotta dress up, AJ. Those girls like you, AJ.
I was just like, yo, I've always been that regular dude. Like, just you'll see me now, and if I'm not going nowhere, I get suited and booted when I need to. But if you see me just around the way here in Maverick, you'll see me in some sweats and you know what I'm saying, some sweats and a hoodie or a t-shirt and my Knicks hats. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
In 1985, Cutmaster DC did a record called Brooklyn's in the House, right?
Yep.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Right. Then after that, a year later, I think it was in '86, Shannon Marley did The Bridge. And then, of course, on the BDP South Bronx. And then when that filtered out west, NWA said that they were straight out of Compton. And then the Ghetto Boys were saying that they were from the Fifth Ward. I call that the I'm from a bad neighborhood era in rap, where everyone is kind of like doing an anthem about where they're from. Was that the idea going into Strong Island, to do an anthem about where you live?
No, the anthem idea was to pull everything together. Like I said, we was on Long Island, and back then, I don't know about the city more so, but there wasn't no big need for us to be walking around with no security and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
you want to embrace the people that purchased your records, put you to where you had to go to and stuff like that. So for us, it was more or less like, you know what? We're on Long Island. What's going on right now is it's hard for Long Island to get into the rap game, because back then they was signing everybody from the city and stuff like that. Say, okay, if you don't see crime and stuff, well, what do you have to rap about?
Right.
Right. Selling Long Island, we knew we'd have to have some sort of we'd have to probably have like the anthem. I don't think we realized, well, we did realize after we finished recording it and we heard it in the studio, I think we just threw our money up in the air, because we was like, yo, this is a feeling, this is a vibe. But like, I'm gonna let you take over there, A, because I know for both of us there was a great feeling with that, and I want to be able to share your parts of feeling the story. Because I remember when we left when we was in the studio again, when we recorded Strong Island, we was in Charlie Murata's studio, and I think at that moment that we finished and was listening to the final mix, we said to ourselves, you know what, we have something here. Like we're as good as those other groups out there. Like, you know, we can get to the radio. I mean, that's how I felt, and I was like, yo, we did something here today.
So when we got out the studio, when we finished it, you know, every now and then you get that feeling like, yo, we may not have known 38 years later y'all still be jamming off this. We might not know it would have been the biggest anthem of that underground, you know, for Long Island, the anthem for Long, but we knew we had something. And to set the tone, and B started to touch this, at the time, you kind of had to be from the 5 boroughs to really, really get some respect. You know what I'm saying? So, like, people wasn't thinking. So you had even the people that were in Long Island, Eric B and Rakim. Eric B was from Queens or Brooklyn, so you thought Rakim was. Public Enemy was just bigger than life. So
nobody wanted to say Long Island.
Right. I don't think they realized that P was from Long Island. Disco Richie and Divine Sounds, you know, they making records about Brooklyn. He was from Brooklyn, but he lived in Brentwood. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, LL was born in Bayshore, but then, you know, he moved to his grandmother's house with his mom in Queens. Like, so nobody was saying Long Island. Rakim said, I'm roughing up the break New York from Long Island, and the only island I was on was the strong one. And Chuck said,
Chuck
Island,
said
where I got him wildin'. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, nobody was even mentioning Long Island. And it was like when we did the record, it gave the identity to the island.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The same way those records like you did, you said in the other area, they gave the identity. So we've had people tell us, yo, that's when they knew they could make it from Long Island, when they heard that song, or that inspired them to represent Long Island. And, you know, so and to this day, you know, I was looking up something, I had to Google something. Yo, there's like 10, 15, 20 businesses named Strong Island Tires, Strong Island Cars. Like, yo, like it became that thing now. Like, not even just in hip hop, it became that thing. So,
fellas, real quick, I gotta run. I just want to say peace to y'all, man. Salute to what you did for the culture.
Salute, man.
Bro,
Thank you for having us.
I play your song every hip hop set I do, man. I just played it Friday, had a show. So
that's what's up.
Appreciate you, man.
You still in the rotation, you know what I'm saying, of all this classic hip hop, and your name is forever etched for me personally. You know what I'm saying? Being from Strong Island, grew up in Huntington, grew up in Brentwood, lived in Brentwood for a little while. So, man, I appreciate what y'all did.
And appreciate your support. Thank you. It's DJs like you and heads like you that have kept us alive. They you know what I'm saying? Without all the stuff that everybody else had, like he said, you know, Daylight and all of them, they had the internet, they had videos and all that stuff by that time. We didn't have all that, you know, but it's cats like you that kept us alive. 38 years later, we having this conversation because of cats like you.
Man,
we sincerely thank you, brother.
Man, appreciate y'all. Real talk. Thank y'all so much. Man. Rollo, my brother, salute to the chat room. And I'll see y'all again soon, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. You too.
I'm gonna get off.
So be love. I don't know if you know how we know Rollo. Well, he was towards the end of Wild Man Steve show.
Yeah.
He used to be at Wild Man Steve. That's how me and him really got cool. He used to be up at Wild Man's because I used to just go there and hang out a lot of times, even when we wasn't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just love hanging out at the radio. I used to hang up there and hang out at Jvc Force spot. You know what I'm saying? Used to hang up. I liked hanging at the radio. I just like just chilling at the radio. But yeah, he's from. So
it's some history.
Yeah, so he's from Wild Man Steve. Yeah, he from back then. He's from that era.
Nice. Cool.
We came up in Huntington. I knew him 16, and
wow,
we've been ongoing ever since. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
We could keep going. I mean, I could do this for 3 hours, but I got to get off. I want to thank both you brothers for joining us today. I want to thank you both.
Thank you.
Culture. I want you to understand your relevance and your importance to the culture. So thank you.
Yo, you're welcome, man. And thank you for having us. And thank you for constantly keeping our name alive. We really appreciate you too, man. 100 salutes to you.
Most definitely. And we're going to talk to you guys so we can bring you back soon so we can continue the conversation.
Oh, no doubt. You just say when, and I appreciate you. You know I appreciate you, my brother. You know you got my number. Let's talk offline. You know what I'm saying? Yo, keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate you opening up your platform for us.
Well, thank you both again, man, and we'll talk again soon. All right.
And shout to all the people
Yes,
in the
sir.
chat. I didn't get the name of y'all, but I'm seeing all the comments. Appreciate all the love in the chat.
Yeah,
Big
shout out to
shouts out Long Island. Big shouts out Long Island.
yeah,
Strong Island.
for real. All right, people, we'll talk soon. All right.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Peace.
Thank you. Peace.
All right, B, I'm signing off. You call me if you want.
All right, I will.
All right, peace.
All right, peace.
Leave studio.